Solitary Pride. My name is Rob. Today, we're going to be kind of talking from the point of view of an older guy to some of you younger fellas out there. Now, the very first video I did when it came to healing was to kind of boil it down to its basic essence of what is the most useful things to kind of get a grip on moving on pretty much as quickly and as successfully as possible. Well, I actually came up with a script, and let me interject this real quick because I've been out of this for a hot minute. I wanted to take a break, obviously, over the holiday between Christmas and New Year's. Right after Christmas and New Year's, I ended up getting sick. Now, what I had, I don't understand what it was. It was almost 3 weeks solid of literally I couldn't do any activities which would require physical exertion, or couldn't even talk for more than about a minute and a half without going into a hacking cough that was so hard I would literally see stars in my vision by the time I was done. Shortly after getting done with that, I realized that the space that I was using was not going to be enough to be able to continue if I wanted to expand. So I literally started building a small studio. This is kind of the first step of that first studio. You'll notice I've got something behind me that I did not have before. I unfortunately, because the chroma key green screen is not wide enough, this video looks a little claustrophobic. I'll apologize for that right off the bat. But without further ado, what we're going to be talking about today is kind of boiling down, I think, the 10 things that I wished that I either A, knew, or B, took more to heart when I was a younger man. Now, if you're a little bit older than, just getting out of high school or your 20s, this can still be useful to you because it's not over until you're dead. You can always start somewhere. Always. So, without further ado, it's the 10 things that an older lion or an older guy would tell the younger lions, or you younger boys, you younger men out there, on how to really what would be the path for success. What would be the path for being the best version of you that you can be? Well, one of the first ones is going to be obvious, which is work on your weaknesses and play to your strengths. What that means is if you're really good at one thing, use that as your main drive, especially when it comes to things that can make you money. But also begin to work on your weaknesses. For example, if sociability or being social with people is not your major strength, then go and learn from somebody who can. Or there's even books out there, there's even lessons on how even the most kind of quiet, introverted guys can go out there and learn social skills where people will mistake them for being an extrovert. I'm one of them. People mistake me for being an extrovert. I actually spend vast amounts of time on my own, and I really need a lot of battery recharging time after dealing with people. But most people will mistake me for an extrovert, but I'm not actually. Now, working on, for example, if physicality when I was younger, which I'm telling you, do it while you're young, because when you try to build muscle and things like that when you're older, if you haven't done things like that when you were in your teens and your 20s, you are not going to have the bone density to build a lot of body mass. Now, I can add muscle and a little bit of bulk, but I also have to take supplements so I don't look like what they refer to as a lanklet, which is somebody who is, your muscle tone is really, really good, but you're really thin, you're really lean, and they refer to you as especially if you're tall like me, they refer to you as a lanklet. So that way you don't want to look like that. You want to work so you actually have the bone density to be able to carry more muscle mass later in life. I would also say that another thing on working is always be questing for knowledge. I used this before when it came to healing, was reading. One of them being a quest for knowledge for me was a more balanced approach on being a masculine man and how to navigate it in today's society the way it is without being an angry, bitter jerk. Learning some of the things that we've learned over the past 100 years, but applying things that have been truths for thousands. Okay, so quest for knowledge. Maybe it could even be reading about history. That's another one. It could be just about anything. Again, as I said before, work on your social skills. Another one is financial. Start learning what different investments are, what may be a good fit for you where you are in life. It's easier to make certain investments, and if you lose a little bit on them or you lose half of it early in life, it's not as big of a deal and it's a learning experience for you. But learn finances, learn how to make a budget. To give you a prime example, when it came time for me to actually have to buy pretty much almost a brand new car, I did not want to be spending any more than 10 to 15% of my monthly take home in a car payment. That was paramount to me, and I did not want to be spending any more than 15 to 20% on my actual rent and or mortgage, and it pays off in dividends. Going to the next one, I would say you want to stick to the grind. Whatever job you have, if it pays well, and you don't either like it or you don't mind it, stick to it. Stick to it for a few years, keep the grind up. And I would also say even pick up a side hustle. For me, this is a side hustle, which I hope that it actually becomes something else. Where it actually becomes something I can earn an income off of, doing something I actually love doing. Enjoy speaking to people, enjoy passing on the things that I've learned, and a love for the manosphere community such as it is, but also calling out a lot of the crap because it needs to be done. And I'm gonna get a lot of hate probably on one of the upcoming videos from the red pill community, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care. I'm too old to care, and I've also got more knowledge probably than half of the guys that are still doing this kind of content. That being said, I'm getting off on a sidetrack. What I mean by pick up a side hustle, when you're sticking to your grind, if you have available overtime, take it. I wouldn't say completely destroy yourself with it, but take the extra overtime. No one ever becomes wealthy by only working their basic 40 hours a week for someone else. You will never become rich doing that with someone else. What I mean with a side hustle, if you're good at carpentry, maybe you can pick up, doing odd jobs on the side for people on the weekends, where charge 5 or 6 hours, and you make half of what you would have made in a 40-hour work week. That's a good idea. Going and doing people's yard work for them. There's a lot of people who they either don't have the time, or maybe they don't have the strength, or they don't have the physicality to do it because maybe they're older, maybe injuries. But yeah, something like that. Or even like this, YouTube can be a side hustle for you as well, something you can learn to develop. The third thing I would put in here, I would argue zero debt is good debt. Now, what do I mean by zero debt is good debt? Because how are you supposed to have a credit rating if you have no debt? Well, one of the things that was always suggested, and I completely agree, is either a store credit card or somebody with, cosign. Use it for small things. You go, maybe, okay, I used this particular credit card, maybe I put 25 bucks worth of gas in my car. When the bill comes due, pay it off in its entirety. And continue to do that. Keep the small amounts. What that does is you're not carrying any residual debt, which starts to accrue interest, in which makes the $25, then $30, then $35, $40. You get the idea. When you get the bill, pay it, get rid of it. Again, try not to have a car payment if you can't, but if you're like me and you were stuck in a situation where I kind of had to, I needed to know exactly what was going to be a good fit for me in my budget, so I literally was not a slave to a car payment. Number 4, delayed gratification, believe you me, is the ultimate satisfaction. You need to decide which rewards in life are the most important. What are the things you want to achieve? Now, granted, you're probably going to want to do things to reward yourself here and there, but don't overdo it. Stephen Graham, I saw a video in which he talked about this as well, where he was investing, he was scrimping every penny, every dime, and then after a year to 18 months, he would go out on a spending spree because it's kind of like a pressure that builds. You're not getting any reward, you're starting to get burned out. Give yourself at least enough reward that you don't get burned out. But for example, for me, short term, I want to travel to another country, possibly even set up my shop there permanently. Okay? Well, that's going to require money, that's going to require a goal, that's going to require that there are things that I will have to sacrifice in order to gain the other reward. So that's another thing you guys need to look at is when it comes to delayed gratification, it means you're going to be sacrificing things. Oh, hey, this new album, well, anymore, not even new albums anymore, but say a certain gadget comes out and you go, you know what, like a phone, brand new iPhone or something comes out. I don't need it. This one does exactly fine the way I need it to do, and it's paid for. And you continue with that because you don't need the latest and greatest. My computer that I use to actually edit these videos is not the latest and greatest, but it is still a workhorse that is far more powerful than most stuff you will buy in your gaming store. So, because I built it that way years ago, so it would not have very quick obsolescence. But I use it as a tool. That's another thing. See if you can use some of those things that you like to use for a hobby as a tool that can make you money, i.e. the camera that I'm talking into right now like a moron. Some of the stuff that, the green screen that's behind me, the computer that's in front of me right now, you get the idea. Number 5, if you are in a good job that has a 401k investment plan, invest early, jump on it as soon as you can, and invest easy and invest the maximum. Now what I mean by that, if you have a 401k, I'll give you an example. In the company that I once worked for, I could put 6% of my own paycheck in, and if I put 6%, the company would match up to 4% of my paycheck, okay? So I was looking at 10% of the value of my check. 6 out of 10 was on me, 4 out of 10 was essentially free money. That's money that got put away, I never touched it, it's off the spending table. I'm not there to want to grab it and use it for something else. In doing that, when the economy started tanking a couple of years ago, I remember a lot of people coming out, I lost 25% of my money. I was like, no, you didn't. Well, what do you mean? I said, did you max out your 401k? Well, no. I said, well, yeah, then you are losing money. I said, because I haven't lost anything. I'm actually gaining more money from what the company is putting in versus the losses. I'm making more money than if it was in a high interest savings account. So think about that. There's other things that you can do. Another one is called a Roth IRA. This is not me giving financial advice per se. This is me putting out ideas for you to think about. One of them is a Roth IRA. It's real simple. You can keep putting money into it. By the time you are 59 and a half years old, it pays 5% for a year, which, yeah, that's not much. But when you're 59 and a half years old, you can withdraw that money with no tax. It means it's all yours. There's also S&Ps, which are mutual index funds, which are really cool. I mean, they're probably one of my favorites. Again, I'm not a financial guru. Go and investigate these things for yourself and try to find out what's going to work best for you. Next one, or number 6, if you will. Invest in your community. I talked very briefly about this in the healing video. Volunteerism, such as volunteering your time at church, whether it be in the choir, maybe you'll help out as an usher, maybe if it has a theater like mine did, you can, be an actor in that theater, or maybe, even local theater. You join a local community theater group. I was in a Shakespeare group for a while and volunteered. That's what we did. It was a lot of fun, and people got some culture, and it brought a little bit of money into the local economy. Another thing would be to, as the picture shows, join the historical society. And maybe the area you come from is very rich in history. Or maybe a lot of people don't know it is, and you can learn about things. Maybe even find out about your own genealogy of where you're from. Other things, such as for me, I come from a more local and rural area. In those local and rural areas, like I live in, our fire departments, a lot of our ambulatory services are volunteers. They're volunteer medics, they are volunteer firefighters. And there's also other things like community outreach programs. One prime example would be something such as Habitat for Humanity. That even if you're not a carpenter, you can go and maybe help out on a Habitat for Humanity home site that's being built and volunteer your time that way. Because almost anybody who is wealthy will tell you the first thing you need to do is learn how to give back. Such as a Christian in church, we give back 10% of the first fruits as a tithe. There's also giving back of your time. And you don't do it to show off to other people. You do it as a form of gratitude. Number 7, enjoy the little things in life. Like going out and spending some time outside. Maybe even just hanging out with a couple of family members and joking around. Maybe sitting down and having dinner with them. Go out there and touch some grass. Now, for me, it's easy. I come from a rural area. I can literally take my shoes off and walk on grass. And believe you me, there's a big difference between walking on it in shoes and walking in your bare feet. Really sit down. You know, what's the scent on the air? You know, for me, when you're walking around, especially during the autumn, you might catch something like the trimmings from the apple orchards as they're burning, that sweet wood smoke smell that it has. Just simple things like that. And take time out of your life to be thankful, even for the smallest things. I talked about this in a field journal about the attitude of gratitude. It's the same idea. Learn to love yourself and enjoy your own company. I don't mean this in a narcissistic fashion of love yourself where, you know, you are right and perfect and wonderful at everything. No, it's learning to love yourself to be enough to be able to go, you know, I could really be better here. I'm not going to beat myself up, but I need to be better. Let's have the discipline. Let's work on it. I like these particular things about myself. You know, and again, learn how to enjoy your own company. In doing so, it really does, in my opinion, help you build confidence. I have a lot of confidence no matter where I go. I will walk into a restaurant completely by myself. I walked into a place on Valentine's Day by myself, and there were couples everywhere. I didn't think a thing of it. And I walked right in and sat down and had a couple of drafts and a meal outside on the veranda because they actually had heat lamps. It was kind of warm for February. And it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. I had a great time. I did not feel isolated or left out because why? I was doing my own thing. I was there for a reason. That reason was to eat, to enjoy the food, to enjoy the drink, and to go home. When you learn to love yourself and learn self-discipline, you hold standards for yourself. All right, that's how discipline really starts. When you do that, you will hold standards for other people as well. You won't put up with garbage from the opposite gender, try to put you down or treat you like crap when you know you're not, or just because you have drawn a boundary that says, I'm not going to allow this to be crossed. If we want to have a relationship, we can't have this. And if it's not respected, you go, not a problem, have a nice life. Oh, excuse me, still have some of the cold left in me yet. Social media. Use it. Don't let it use you. What I mean by that is social media can be a very powerful tool to use for business, for networking, for maybe keeping in touch with people you graduated high school with, family members who have moved away. It's a great, real quick way. Plus you get highlights of kind of what their day was. You can physically see what the highlight of their day was. But don't use it to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. Do not compare your life to other people who are on social media, such as Facebook, Instagram, and other places like that. Again, what did I just say? You're only getting a highlight reel of their life. You're not getting the whole thing. You're not getting the misery. Well, some people, you'll see the misery as well. I think that's all they do sometimes is just complain. But again, you can use it for business. For example, for doing this, what I do for YouTube, Facebook might not be enough, and Twitter might not be enough as well. I actually have a Twitter page with this as well. I have no idea how to work it, but I'm learning. But again, use the social media to keep in touch, maybe to keep a certain business practice. Don't use it to keep up with the Joneses. Don't let it use you. Last and definitely not least, and young ladies, I would encourage you, if you're listening to this in passing, is to pipe up and listen closely. Abstinence works every time it's used. Why? For you boys? Well, there's no child trap. Can't get pregnant if you haven't done anything with her. If you've maintained accountability, and I mean even publicly, whereas in the Bible says you've abstained from the appearance of evil, not going to a place where you can fall to temptation, fall to the two of you doing something you're probably going to regret later on down the road. Boys, it also helps with your vetting power as well. You get to see what she's really like. She can't use bedroom fun against you. Now, ladies, When you are not practicing abstinence, you are giving up the biggest superpower you have in your arsenal in vetting a partner for you for life. Someone who is going to be a good man. Because a good man will wait. A good man would rather put a ring on your finger. So if this guy plays around, ends up, going to bed with somebody else while he's dating you, or he walks away from you, ladies, you've dodged a bullet. You used your super vetting power, and that guy went bye-bye. Okay? I cannot stress enough how important, this might be one of the most important, especially for you younger people. Okay? You cannot be baby-trapped as men. And ladies, you will know more often than not, almost a guarantee, whether he truly loves you and really wants to spend his life with you. Don't give up that power. Okay? That being said, that was my long-winded rant for the day. I really appreciate you stopping by once more to watch. If I've earned it, please like, subscribe, share the video. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. Kind of feeling like I'm swinging out here in the wind. I'm still learning YouTube in baby steps. Hey, I'm an old man. What am I going to do? But, anyway, put your claws on that notification bell. That way you know when another one comes out. And the next video I'm going to be doing is going to be a little bit personal, and it's going to be a little bit tough because it's going to be for a very young friend of mine who asked me a question that will really stick with me. Anyway, God bless you. Live in love. Take care of each other. I'll see you in the next one, Pride. Later.
Hey!